Welcome to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. I'm your host, Luke Darnell. This week we head down south to visit with our friend Matt Barber from Hot Wachulas out of Florida. Matt is funny, a great cook, and has a great barbecue business. He's won just about everything there is to win in Florida. He cooks all around the country in both the FBA and KCBS, and his products are some of the best in barbecue. So please join me in welcoming my friend Matt Barber. This episode is brought to you by the Barbecue League. The Barbecue League is the ultimate barbecue experience. Here's why. One small annual investment from you instantly unlocks all 70-plus tell-all recipes, enthusiast recipes, restaurateurs, and more in their unmatched library. This isn't your typical YouTube-type content. World champions like Gettin' Basted, Shake and Bake Barbecue, Heavy Smoke Barbecue, La Pasadita Barbecue, and 913 Barbecue share their full tell-all recipes. No secret is left unsaid, and a new video release is guaranteed every single week of your membership. You'll also see unfiltered looks from all levels of pitmasters during their live competition coverage. And those same pitmasters are accessible through the league's upbeat online community. As soon as you sign up, you'll also have a full arsenal of some of the best discounts in barbecue from brands like Snake River Farms, Blues Hog, Big Papa Smokers, Gunter Wilhelm, Gateway Drum Smokers, and more. The Barbecue League puts on members-only contests throughout the year, hosts live and virtual events, and offers a full-access league lounge at participating events. Listeners to this podcast can receive $10 off of the $100 annual membership this month only by using the code JUNEPITMASTER, all capital letters, all one word, June Pitmaster on thebarbecueleague.com. We're here today with Mr. Matt Barber from Hot Wachulas, and I'd like to begin this interview with a multiple choice question. Where did we meet? Was it A, the American Royal? Was it B, the Capitol Barbecue Battle in D.C., or was it C, somewhere else?
It wasn't the Royal.
No?
I don't think so.
I think it was the Royal. But I got to ask you, I'm asking this question because I don't know.
Because if it was the Royal, it would have had to have been
Arrowhead. You were driving around on the scooter and I stopped you.
Yeah, but that was I had already cooked in DC at that point.
I'm trying to think if I had.
Because I think I was in DC.
We met in DC in line.
Yes.
That's exactly where we met.
And they loaded me in last because they thought I was the fucking ice truck.
That's right.
So I didn't get there until like 4 a.m. and I'm like, I was so unprepared for that. My brisket wasn't trimmed. I had no power.
By the time you got in, I was hammered. I remember that.
And then they parked me, box van, by the way. They parked me in front of the IRS freaking building. I'm like, not gonna go well. And there were dogs going by sniffing my tires all freaking weekend. Yeah.
That's right, because we were sitting out there on, I want to say it was 14th Street.
Yeah, it was old loop. It was when it was closer to the White House.
Yeah, and you got out of that truck, and I was like, man, that's that Hot Wachula guy. And I got out of my truck, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. And I was like, what in the fuck is he cooking out of? Like, this is something.
Apparently, the guy coming in thought that too. So like, that guy's some thinking vendor selling some, he's pushing a shopping cart around with like stuffed toys and neon balloon crap.
Well, thanks for being on the show, man. I was sitting there racking my brain going, I can't remember when I met Matt because we've known each other forever now. And
yeah.
I was just like, I can't remember. So I was like, I'm going to pose the question.
I think it was DC, and then it might have been that contest in West Virginia. Almost Heaven. That might have been
maybe.
Time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, because I had the RV then.
Yeah.
I I had pepper at that point. Yeah,
That's
that was
right.
later. But yeah, it had to have been DC.
So yeah, man, like you and I have had some really good experiences pretty much all over the country.
Yes.
I mean, down at World Food Championships when I qualified, when I won, you had stayed that Sunday night,
Yeah.
and the production guy came over to my trailer and he was giving me shit that he was like, "You can't take your whole trailer in there." And I was like, "That's not the deal. You guys said that we get our trailer. I'm taking my trailer."
Yeah.
And the guy kept giving me shit, and you walked over and looked at him and said, "Well, he can cook out of my rig." There's the 45-foot RV, and the guy was like, "We'll take the blue trailer," and I was like, "That's hilarious."
Yeah. We had some good World Food Championships were good to both of us. That's the cool when we usually cook together. One of us usually ends up doing really well, and
Right.
it's always cool. If you're gonna get beat by somebody, you'd rather it be somebody that you like and you hang out with, that you're buds with. Because it's not like, oh, can't believe that guy. you know. When it's somebody that you like and you get along with, and you know to see, and you're always a gracious winner and a gracious, when you don't do well, and it's
It always makes it better. And I remember we went about 1,500 miles north, and you flew into Lake Placid.
yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Cooking on a bunch of shit that you never cooked on before, and walk away with the GC, and everybody's like, "Who's this guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you got to worry about that guy."
Send that guy back. That was fun. I mean, I enjoyed that contest a lot. I mean, it reminded me of the European contest, and I don't know if it was just the Canadian speaking French all everywhere, but it just had that laid back community vibe to it. Like the contest used to. It used to everybody was out cooking and having lunch and cooking meals and walking around, and I enjoyed that contest a lot. And of course, the organizer, and how could you not like a contest that he puts on?
He's probably, I mean, I love a lot of contest organizers, but I'd pretty much go to war for that guy.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no better. People tell me, like, when they watch awards from Lake Placid, because I used to stream awards all the time. If I don't do it anymore, but if I were going to pick one contest to stream awards from, it would be Lake Placid.
yeah.
Just because he's so funny. Dimitri, if you listen to this, man, I love you and I miss you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll have it again next year. So
Well, they're having it this year, but it's going to be Labor Day weekend, and it's super tough to get up there this time, and
yeah,
just can't do it. It's too close to the Royal, and lot going on. But so I've already, and I will tell you a secret admission in that I've already recorded the intro for this podcast where I describe you as one of the nicest guys in barbecue, one of my best friends in barbecue, but also like one of the most accomplished in terms of, you've done a lot in KCBS, you've done a lot, everything there is to do in FBA, and you also have a tremendous product line and a great barbecue business. What do you think has been the biggest turning point in your life as a pitmaster?
there's probably a few. The first one would be how I got started in it, and I sponsored a team probably back in 2006, 2007, and they were a local Lakeland team, and they were friends of mine, and I would get them sauces, and they'd let me go to their site, set up a little tent and sell it, and I'd give them some to sell for the contest I couldn't go to, so they could help make some money, buy meats or whatever. So I never cooked barbecue at all. I mean, I had the line of sauces. I mean, I'm a good saucier kind of flavorologist, I guess, but never really cooked a lot of barbecue. So it was about a year later, and Johnny Trigg and Rod Gray came and did their pellet envy, old school, new school class, back when pellet envy was on pellets, and Johnny Trigg was on the stick burner. So he took that class, and And after that class, he's like, "I'm not going to use your sauce no more." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, I'm going to use what they taught in the class." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "But you're still going to sponsor me, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm not going to sponsor you." So he's like, "Well, you got to be a dick about it." I'm like, "Well, the whole point of me sponsoring you was to promote my sauce." And, he's like, "Yeah, but that's not what's winning. I got to do what's winning." So at that point, I'm like, "You know what? I'm going to start cooking. I'm going to kick your ass. That's going to be my only goal is to cook and beat you. I don't care if you're second to last. I'll be third from last. I don't care how bad you do as long as I'm one spot above it." And, that was my goal for like the next few years. And I'm like, I don't care how I do as long as I beat cooking them guys. And that kind of motivated me. And then it helped me tweak some of my profiles a little bit. But that was kind of what got me into it, was wanting to prove that my sauces were good enough on the competition level. I mean, you could have people tell you that they're good. You have family. I mean, thankfully, my family is like brutally honest. I mean, they'll tell me when something sucks, but um, I wanted to have proof that my sauces were competition grade, worthy of being. I wanted them to be better than what was out there, and the only way
Right.
would be through competition. So that was kind of the pivotal point where my company kind of switched from being hot sauce and salsas to more barbecue driven. Um, so I would say that was a pretty pivotal point, because then once I started doing that and started cooking, it kind of changed my path a lot. I went from still doing a lot of design work. That was my background. I was a graphic designer, so I was still dabbling in that. But this kind of put me more on a path to where I am now, which you know I've I've done the cooking, I've promoted the brand, I've got a pretty recognizable name now, and it's and to think that it was all because of spite, that's where I am. But that's just how things worked out, and I'm thankful for that. And had things been different back then, I might not have even started cooking. But um,
Wow. I did not know that you started the company before you started cooking.
yeah, yeah, I was a graphic designer at Publix, and I did package design and all kinds of stuff, print ads and different. And actually I was married at the time, and my ex-wife was a designer in the same department. So when we got divorced, I had to get the hell out of there. But I'm not a happy guy. I mean, I'm not a fan of confrontation, even though that might be my reputation. I'm not one, so I try to avoid it as often as possible. So I retired from Publix, and I took my retirement, and I kind of went into the salsa business, because I'd made peak salsa for friends and for Christmas presents, and then it got to where people would ask me, like, "Hey, I'm having a party over here. Can you bring sauce over here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll." So it kind of grew, but it all started from salsa, and then it kind of grew into, my mom wanted me to make barbecue salsa. She's a Georgia girl, so we had to have some mustard based products in the house. So I kind of went off of that and kind of made some barbecue sauces that she liked, and then it just kind of grew from there as far as the product line. But yeah, it started off as just a salsa company, and it just kind of
Huh.
primarily a barbecue sauce company, and
I didn't
then
know that.
then it grew into co-packing and bottling for other people, and and competing almost every other weekend. So,
Right. Because most people, especially now today, guys go out there, they have some success in competitions, and then that's when they come out with a sauce and a rub and stuff. But you come at it from a different perspective.
yeah.
That's really neat. That was your driving force into getting into competition.
Well, yeah, one benefit I think of it too is that I didn't know what people were using. It wasn't
Mm.
like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna tweak this and mix that with that," or I didn't know what profiles were hitting, what was hot, what you couldn't do, what it wasn't supposed to have in it. So, even all my barbecue sauces were mustard based. I mean, every single one of them starts
Hmm.
off as my spicy mustard sauce, and I just add things to it. Because that was one of the things people would say, nope, you can't win with no mustard sauce. You know, ain't gonna win nothing. I'm like, well, you just freaking ate that whole bottle of it. He's like, that's not mustard. I'm like, I make it. There's more mustard than there is tomato paste, but it's so I think that kind of made my sauces a little bit different, just because I didn't know. Nobody told me what I needed to be doing at that
Right.
point. Just
Yeah.
sometimes not having that target to kind of work towards, I just kind of cast a broader net and just kind of what stuck stuck. So
Right on. So when you decided to get into this, into competition barbecue, what was one of the most worthwhile investments that you made, especially in the beginning?
a nice cooker. So I would say, actually, the first cooker I got, I bought for $100. It was an old backwoods party, and I
You
put
got a party for $100?
it was held together with foil with HVAC tape. But that thing, I still can't cook a rib as good as I did back then. But and I cooked everything on it, all four categories on a backwoods party. And I was in the tent. I had a freaking Mercury Villager minivan. Slept in a blow up mattress in the back, and I started just like everybody else you see in the backyard started. And I just set little goals for myself to, okay, if I get a reserve or a grand, I'll get another cooker. And it's like, okay, if I win another one, I'll get a landscape trailer. So, and I just kind of set little goals for myself, and it just kind of grew into, all right, if I can do this, I'm going to get a fifth wheel, and then it just kind of went crazy after that. But definitely having a good smoker makes your job a lot easier. It takes you end up with a better product and a lot less hassle. Um,
Right.
Otherwise you're fighting it, and until you can cook it the same way, tender and perfect four times in a row, you're going to end up chasing your tail. So, uh,
Right. And that's the thing. Like, when you say a good cooker, that can be defined a lot of ways. I think it's more a cooker that you're comfortable with and that you know, or
right,
that you can learn. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, something that you can figure out what the hot spots are, or what shelf works for what, and how your time, it's better to cook hot and fast on this cooker and low and slow on that one, or there's all kinds of stuff that you can work on. But just having that initial decent quality smoker to start off with made a huge difference. If I would have started off with like a Walmart little stick burner piece of crap, I probably would have given up and
Right.
like, I'm not making barbecue sauce ever again. Screw this crap.
Well, those are all expensive things. Do you have a purchase of $100 or less that's really impacted your barbecue life?
I would say the most important tool that I have, would that qualify?
Sure.
I would say it's a toothpick.
A toothpick?
Toothpick. That to me is the most important thing to have at a contest. Because you're using it to check for tenderness. Be it a brisket or a rib or uh, chicken and pork, not so much. And this was an old timer Florida guy. His name was Mike. I forgot his last name, but his team back in the day was Combat Barbecue. And he came over to my shop, and he'd always talked to me about making a sauce for him, but he was so paranoid. He never wanted to give his recipe out. I'm like, dude, I'll sign whatever. He's like, oh, I just don't. Yeah, but you make sauce for that guy, and I don't like that guy. He's going to come over. I'm like, but he's like, and I was struggling with brisket, and like every new cook does, and he's like, well, I tell you what. He's like, you get you a pack of toothpicks, the pointy kind. He's like, you take that toothpick, you stick it straight up and down on that brisket, and poke it down with your finger. If you poke it down, it don't hurt your finger. That bitch is done. So that's what I started doing. I'd stick that toothpick down, press it down, and then when I press it down, I'd move it to another spot. And I just hit that thing and like, all right, pull it off. freaking night and day difference. Because usually if you got your thermopen, you're putting your wrist and your arm into it, and it's not as sensitive as your fingertip. And so
Huh.
everybody, man, my brisket it blew up, it fell apart. And like, well, what'd you check it with? The thermopen. I'm like, put a freaking toothpick in it. It costs a penny. And
Huh.
for me, that makes a huge difference for my brisket. Even ribs, it's a lot more tactile response, as opposed to having something metal with a handle on it. But so that's probably one of the most important things that I
You
have.
still do that?
I still do that. Uh,
Huh.
'Cause even like with an A9, it's those Australian briskets. If you got to wait till that whole sucker pops, because if it's tight in one corner, that it grows. You'd think it would continue to cook and get tender, but it tightens up worse. So I'll just wait. Once it hits probably 210, I'll pull the probe out, and then I'm just checking it every 15 minutes with the toothpick.
Huh.
And there's always that one spot you're like, oh man, I don't know if I should like this got it. Then you check the temperature, like, what the hell? It's like 215. It's got it. And then all of a sudden it'll just whoosh, like, all right.
It breaks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh. I generally learn a lot on this podcast, but that's a new one.
it's a stupid little toothpick, man. But yeah, that changed my brisket scores dramatically changed after that. And it's brisket's one of those weird things too. Like back when I started, if you were cooking a prime, you were high cotton. You were big money cooking a prime, and cooking a prime and then cooking an A9. I mean, I cook those things totally different. I mean, it's the wrap is different, the separation is different. I mean, it's
Yeah.
oiling, it's different, and but still that toothpick stays.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome, man. So, do you use a lot of technology when you cook? I mean, do you use like any technological tools, apps, programs, anything?
I cook on Rectex for their pellets, and I also cook from I'm bringing it back into the arsenal just to get some more smoke and some things. I've got my own cooker that I designed. Just call it a killer smoker. It's a reverse flow, similar to a backwoods, but the side walls are different. So it's a lot more even of a heat. Uh, and I got a flame boss on that to help regulate the temperature. But those are pretty much the two
It's
that I
back in
use.
the mix, huh?
Yeah, the pork needs that extra oomph. So do ribs now too. It's just um, especially the hot and fast stuff. Just the flavor profile on the ribs and pork is a lot stronger just because you're having all that grease and stuff on the pork. But, even cooking on my little spaceship Rectex that I've been cooking on now, I still don't get that heavy of a penetration of the smoke flavor to it. I get great color, um, you know, and still the pellet works great for the brisket. I'm not changing that anytime soon. Um, but I am going to bring back the charcoal cooker just for some extra oomph. And I think part of that too is, with COVID and all the other judges cooking more at their house, and judges aren't traveling as much. So I think profiles are more regional now, and some of the flavors are stronger because they're used to their own cooking. Um, I think when judges traveled everywhere, they were looking for nuances. They're more critical about balance and stuff. And now I think it's just more regional for me. And I think just that smoke flavor is more appealing
Yeah.
on the spectrum as opposed to something like, oh, I get a hint of this, or the rub offsets the smokiness, which reacts with the salty sweet of the sauce, and it balances out this. I mean, it's now it's just like that's good or that's bad. It's
Huh.
it's just one of those. Like if I go to Virginia, I don't do good in Virginia. I think that last contest I was probably the best I've done in Virginia. But I do really good in Georgia and Florida. Okay in parts of South Carolina. Um, but then, and same with other people. But it seems like the Texas guys got something figured out because they're kicking everybody's ass wherever the hell they go.
Right now they are.
So, and I think part of that's, some of the smokiness, some of that.
No, I I agree with what you said about the judges, and that's man. When did you get smart?
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
So do you? Let's switch gears a little bit because I think barbecue people are some of the most superstitious people out there. Do you have a lot of superstitions or habits or rituals or routines that you have to have or do during a competition?
Well, I'll go the first rule, like for Florida, for FBA, you can't have pizza on a Friday night or Friday, period. Because down here, whoever wins grand champion buys pizza for whoever stays Saturday night. So you want to make sure you're the one buying pizza. So you don't want to already have pizza because then you're to overload. So it became bad luck to eat pizza on Friday because you want to be the one buying it Saturday. I don't really have any like I'm bringing it back mainly because I haven't cooked in a while. But it used to be taquitos and chocolate milk for dinner every Friday night. I mean, just the frozen, I'd wrap them up in foil and throw them in the cooker and, you know, dip them in some salsa and chocolate milk of all things. It was totally disgusting. But, I did that like 2015 when I was on the roll. And I'm like, I need to bring that back. I need to bring back the taquitos and chocolate milk. And so I think the next week we have a contest here in my hometown. So I'm gonna break out the old taquitos. You know,
That's disgusting.
I know it's totally gross, but
Totally.
if it works, I'm expecting to see some Facebook posts with some taquitos in your cook trailer.
There's not a more Imperial Polk County thing, I think, than what you just said. Taquitos and chocolate milk.
But I don't have any. I don't have like for awards I have. Like I got this necklace I'll wear. Uh, and of course, you have to have a certain shirt. You might want to carry a certain color chair that you sit in. But it's not as bad as some. Uh, the only time it gets bad is when somebody else knows what your little rituals are and they harass you about it, like or call you out, like Tim Malloy.
Oh.
Wrong color chair, ain't gonna win today. I'm like, oh, but nothing crazy. I mean, you know, I like to wear a certain hat. It's a Papa Joe's hat.
Yep.
But it's nothing real crazy.
That's cool.
But it's oh, I do have to sit behind Tim Malloy. If he's at a contest with me,
You have to
and
sit
that's
behind
so I
him.
can walk.
Tim Malloy. That's somebody I should have on
So we have,
this. So, are you a music guy when you cook?
yeah, I have a pretty diverse playlist. Uh, and it actually grew. I think I started it at the World Food, and I've just kind of been adding to it. I mean, there's a mix of like the National or I say Bon Iver. I know people say Boney there, but I shop at Target, so I say Bon Iver. But and it goes. There's some like rap stuff in there. There's some Mickey Avalon. Uh, there's some
Mickey
old school
Avalon?
alternative. There's Mickey Avalon. It's hilarious. You should listen to it.
I
Uh,
will.
but it's a mix of stuff. Uh, but yeah, that's usually my Saturday playlist is when I crank that up about 9 o'clock after the nine a.m. shot. The playlist gets put on. So
That's cool. That's cool. So, you're a busy guy, dude. You've got this crazy business. You're bottling for a lot of people. Is your competition planning the week before? Is it the same every week? Do you try and do stuff at the same time, or do you just kind of get to it whenever you can?
You know, I just get to when I can. I mean, usually I'm this balls to the wall last minute stuff. I mean, I'm not trimming anything ahead of time. Uh, everything gets trimmed on site. I mean, I'm not trimming chicken. I'm not buying 20 packs of chicken and picking out the best 12, or I'm buying two 10 packs at Publix, throwing them in the cooler. The ribs I get in Tampa, pork is commodity, the ribs I'm getting from Pensacola, the butcher shop. Um, but now pretty much it's Thursday's my get shit together day, and it's trying to load everything up into the RV and get out before it gets too late. And if it's like for the Royal, I'm gonna leave probably Monday.
Yeah.
Myself some time, but usually if it's a long trip, uh, like if it was a DC or somewhere, I'd probably leave Wednesday night and kind of get into the
You're definitely a road warrior.
it's I have to put 30,000 miles on the RV every year. I mean, it's small, but cooking 30 something a year,
Have to.
it's crazy.
So, who would you say has impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
I mean, a lot of people have. I mean, that's been one of the great things about competing and cooking is, I mean, you've had a huge impact on me and things that I do and and how I try to be like Luke.
Oh, shut up.
But I mean, but everybody has an impact, and there's certain qualities that certain people that you see that you admire, that you like, that you want to emulate. But probably for barbecue, there was a guy, Norm Spradlin.
Huh.
He was from Georgia. He had a barbecue sauce called Dumpling Valley, and he had a cook team called Dumpling Valley. He used to cook a lot back. I mean, probably back in like the '80s, and he was just old, just typical Georgia Southern barbecue guy, and he would always come over and come to the shop and just hang out and BS a little bit, and they'd tell me a little. So you need to be doing some of this, you need to be doing this, and he's like, and one thing I remember, he came to it was probably Plant City. He came to the contest, and he looked at my backwoods party, and I had freaking temperature probes, magneted all over the freaking front of it. And he's like, you get rid of all those thermometers and crap off the front of that thing, you might know what you're doing. And he just walked away. And I'm like, oh. And it took me a few years to realize how right he was, because it once you learn that it's not a temperature thing anymore, it's a feel. He didn't say it that way, but I mean, I took it as an insult, but it was one of those things that I got. It clicked a few years later. I'm like, and he passed away a few years ago, and he ended up, inducted him into the FBA Hall of Fame. He wasn't there to get it, but his family came out, and
That's cool.
he was just a special person to me and meant a lot. And I wish he could have seen how far I've come since then, but he was just one of those kind of grandpa barbecue guys that you want to do well for them and make them proud. And he's, I mean, this last week I think he popped up on and it was like a good job on that GC. It was a post from him, and it's tough. It's tough seeing stuff like that because I just know how he would how proud he would be just to see how far I've come. But so
Yeah.
he's had a huge impact, and there's a lot of people like that, but the fact that he's gone, I mean, it's you still want to do good for you, but sometimes you wish they were there so you could see how happy they would be.
Right. Right. And then tell you how to get to the next step. That's a big deal too. Yeah.
But yeah, but there's a lot. I mean, a lot of people I've met have impacted me, and some of the great people that you meet, just kind of stick around, and they end up making your life better, outside of barbecue as well. So.
Yeah. When you hear the word successful in terms of barbecue, who's the first person that comes to mind? Don't say Tim Malloy.
I would say, as far as successful with barbecue, I would have to go with Myron.
Yeah.
For me, there are a lot, but he hits so many markets. I mean, he's got smokers, he's got sauce, he's got cooking classes, he's got restaurants, he's got cookbooks, there's nothing barbecue related that he hasn't had his hands involved with and done well with. And you can't knock anything that he's done. I mean, he just won Memphis in May. I mean, uh, and he's the freaking mayor of Unadilla, Georgia. I mean,
Right.
what in the world? So I think, and I think he's a good model. I mean, there are a lot of really successful barbecue people out there, whether it's a sauce line or a restaurant or cookbook, or you know, he's one of the ones that you would want to compare yourself to. As far as,
What's the most surprising thing to come out of competition barbecue for you?
I would say it would be the travel to Europe. Going international. I mean, that going to Italy, Slovenia, Romania. I mean, all these places that I get to go because of barbecue. And it's not like they weren't places that I didn't have on my list of where I would have liked to have gone, but it's like barbecue just kind of opened up this door. They just gave me the opportunity. And the amazing thing about it is you go over there and everyone there at a contest or associated with the contest is overwhelmingly excited about American culture and American food, and they remind you how you were when you first started in barbecue, where it was anytime you got a call, you're jumping up and down, and everything was wide open. Nobody had secrets. Everybody was cooking out of tents. Everybody was walking around eating each other's food, and when you go over there, it just was, you might have 30 teams, but you've got 20 different countries, that are there. And they've got their own drink, their own beer, their own cheese, their own little boards of stuff, their own
And
shots of
and they party.
yeah, it's like just over there's like a drinking trip around Epcot, uh, but being able to travel and go overseas in Europe and Italy and see different parts of the world just because of barbecue, it's been a huge gift, and I've definitely missed not going last year, and I can't wait to start going back. It reminds me why I continue to do it. Sometimes it becomes a job, but when I go over there, they remind me that I should be enjoying myself a hell of a lot more, because they're having a blast, and it I don't know, it's just a great experience, and I think more teams should go over and cooking. Just I don't care if you think you'll do well or you think you're getting ass kicked. Just go over there and have fun, cook on some weird crap, and just soak it up. I think it's a huge reminder to us, uh, that how important barbecue is to American culture. I mean, it's what we're famous for. I mean, it's like
It's
pizza
like
and I mean and to have people thousands of miles away wanting to know how you cook a barbecue chicken leg is really cool. I just never would have thought that barbecue would have taken me to those kind of places. Doing those kind of things. Here's
yeah,
my
man. Well, I'll be completely honest. That you inspired. I mean, pre-COVID, Kim and I were planning our first trip to Europe to cook,
yeah
and we were going to go over to England and cook Scott Lane's contest, Miss Piggy.
yeah
UK, we were going to cook their contest in Leicester, and of course that all got screwed up. And but we've met a lot of the teams from Europe that have come over to cook the Royal and World Food, and it's hopefully 2022. That's something that I want to put back on the calendar.
Absolutely. Come up to Italy with me. We'll do a double class
Oh,
and kick some ass.
is that the ice one?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is cold. It's cold.
Was that a formal invitation? I just want to have that on the record.
Put it down. Dump.
The hot Wachula
Good.
rusted Mustang class.
Oh,
I like it. Rusted Mustang, folks. You can
yeah.
find it at any major barbecue supplier that you're looking at.
Man, bring it. I mean, I want to do last year. I was supposed to hit up Amsterdam. I
Yeah.
was going to be and hit two contests back to back. And there was supposed to be there was a double that was going to be in Rome and I missed. And I want to hit up Australia, maybe do the Puerto Rico one if they have that again, and let's get some more in Europe. And
I don't know that Kim will let me and you go to Amsterdam together.
we'll hire us a chaperone.
We'll need one. Oh gosh. Well, that dude, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I've been excited about this interview for a while, but now we get to my favorite part, the rapid fire questions.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You ready?
I think so.
All right.
Hit
So
me.
what do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
I don't know if it bothers me or upsets me, but I don't like seeing so much of it. I can
Uh-huh.
stop seeing so much barbecue stuff on my feed, but um, I don't think that's probably the only thing. I mean, it's not that anything upsets me. It's just like, you know, I mean, I do some posts to promote my sauces, and I'll put pictures of stuff out. And, you know, I don't really care what you're having for lunch. You know, but,
That's fair. That's more of an indictment of social media in
yeah,
general.
I mean,
Yeah.
but there's nothing about barbecue that I see out there that I despise or that really grates me. I mean, sometimes some of the photos, from people trying are kind of cringeworthy. Um,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes people can be a little bit, well, just the Facebook judgmental stuff about it, and rather than uh, being supportive and constructive. You know.
Right.
And I think that kind of could be a little detrimental to somebody's, that's starting out. I mean, if we had Facebook and I back when I first started putting pictures out, you know,
I'd have quit.
yeah, it's just, I think some of that just gets a little bit crazy. Um, I definitely think it's definitely a helpful tool, for a new team starting out. Because there's a ton of, back when we first started, there weren't pictures and stuff. And, you know, nobody knew what a money muscle was back in the day. And nobody was trimming knuckles off of chicken thighs for them. Uh, but that'd be the only thing that kind of aggravates me is just, how some of the Facebook stuff can get a little bit too critical and somebody's just trying.
Yeah.
And uh, you can be a little bit more helpful and constructive without, you know,
Without destroying somebody's confidence.
uh,
Yeah.
but that's probably it. I mean, nothing.
Okay.
Well, I'm friends with too many dudes. I'm not accepting any more friend requests from any more dudes. I'm stocked full of dudes in my friends list. So if you send me one and I don't, well, dude. So
I'm gonna go no comment on that one.
I'm. Well, it's a good thing we're not live. My phone would be going off right now.
What is one of your favorite pre, during, or post competition meals?
You know, I could eat sushi every day. So if there's a sushi place near a contest, I'll go. Uh, there's actually a great place in Augusta. They've got like 5 of them. It's called Taco Sushi. So it has tacos, which are awesome, and sushi, which is just as awesome at the same place. So
Huh.
uh, that would be at either seafood or sushi. Uh, would
Okay.
definitely be my go-to food.
Are you cooking Aiken, South Carolina?
I believe so. When is that?
August.
I'm sure I am.
All right, you're taking because Augusta's right there. You're taking me to a taco sushi place.
Yeah, I think there's one in Aiken.
Oh, sweet.
I
We're
think there is,
doing that.
but
Okay.
good. That is good. Actually, I think the one in Aiken is the best one.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there last year. So, but yeah, definitely go.
All right. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
No, I don't. I don't have a
No,
I don't have a go-to gift. I don't have.
you don't give people salsa? Come on, man.
Yeah, I do, but that's I've worn that out. You know, I think all of my friends have gotten pretty much every flavor and every other assortment of, you know. Um, no, I don't think I have like a standard go-to. I mean, there's always alcohol or something if, but I don't really have a gift that I did. I need to
Huh.
work. I'm a lousy friend if you hadn't figured that out. Well,
I think you should just start giving out rusted Mustangs to people and you'll be good to go.
I could do that.
Oh, that joke will never die. All right, last one. If you could
Okay.
have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions, what would it say and why?
Like like being deep and profound, I would
Sure.
I would probably say it's okay to not be okay with something. Just don't be a dick about it.
Wow, that's really good.
You know? I mean, I did hear a quote. I think I heard it like a day or two ago. And I never heard it before. I'm surprised I hadn't. But it was really good, and it just kind of hit me. And I think it was a Mark Twain quote, and it was there's 2 most important days of your life: the day you're born and the day you realize why.
Huh.
That blew my mind. So that's my goal from now on, trying to figure out the why. So I'm searching for it. So hopefully I'll find the why.
Wow, that's cool, man. Normally we don't end on such a deep note, but I like it.
Hey man, you got to diversify. You got to. I'm multi-dimensional, Matt.
You're super deep, Matt. Super deep.
The barbarian poet.
Oh, Matty the Barbarian. It's the best nickname I've ever given in barbecue. People were like, "Why do you call him that?" I'm like, "Why don't you?" Jesus, that's an easy one.
Give him time, you'll see why.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you for being on, and tell people where they can find you online.
Will do, brother. Just go to hotwachulas.com. That or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, just Hot Wachulas. Check out some of my photos and ugly box pictures so you can really feel me. But yeah, just check me out there, follow me, like it.
Very cool.
Hey man, thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. We're going to talk more about this Italy thing.
Absolutely, man. Let me know.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. We will have another episode for you next week. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedenka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2021.
OVS, Old Virginia